Sarah stared dumbly at the dashboard of her car. Not knowing what else to do, she turned the key again. Nothing. None of the little warning lights on the dash even lit. She leaned forward and rested her head on the steering wheel. Not tonight. She didn't have it in her tonight. She hadn't been able to nap and instead decided to go visit her dad. The visit took a lot longer than she thought it might, which is how she happened to have her car in the hospital parking garage. Then she'd gotten caught up in a difficult delivery and ended up working well past her 11 o'clock end of shift. At this point, she hadn't slept in more than a day. Accepting that her car simply wasn't going to start, she determined that she'd have to walk. It would take longer to get seated on a train than it would to just walk to the apartment. While she had worked, the weather had turned and a light but very cold rain served as a harbinger of the harsh winter to come. With a sigh, she grabbed her purse and umbrella, decided to leave everything else there, then locked the car. The apartment was just around the corner. Her feet ached, but walking would be better than waiting for a taxi in the light rain. By the time a taxi got there, she'd already be in a warm robe, sipping on a cup of tea. On Friday nights, even this far into Saturday mornings, the downtown streets were far from quiet. The air felt a little cool, but the jacket of her nursing uniform shielded her arms, and after being in the controlled air of the hospital for 9 hours, it came as a welcome relief. It never crossed her mind to worry about walking downtown after midnight. Of course, if she mentioned it to her mother, she'd hear every unpleasant possibility in a seemingly endless litany. She grinned as she rounded the corner. Her mother was a melodramatic, worry-over-every nuance kind of person. It helped when abstract details needed deliberation, but it grew tiresome when one was a daughter discussing a date or a social function. Thinking of the date as an axe murderer could be hilarious in hindsight, but beforehand could put a damper on dinner plans. Sarah reached the building and pushed into the lobby. She wanted to groan out loud when she recognized the guard working the security desk. Brian was nice, but extremely talkative. It was late. She was on the edge of exhaustion, and she just wasn't in the mood. "Miss Sarah," he said with a surprised look on his face, "I didn't know you were expected tonight." She didn't pause at the desk, but kept walking toward the elevator. She pulled her keys out of her pocket so she wouldn't have to wait on him to quit talking long enough to access the elevator for her. "Hi, Brian. Good to see you." She slid the key into the lock and gave it a half a turn. The doors immediately opened. "Miss Sarah, wait!" "No time, Brian. Sorry." She hit the button and waved as the doors slid shut. She leaned against the side of the elevator as she felt the lift slide upward. Whew! Missed being trapped in a conversation for half an hour. Normally she didn't really mind, and she didn't want to be unkind, but fatigue weighed her down. She was stepping down into the living room before she realized that something was wrong. The lights shouldn't be on full. They should be on dim. She froze at the bottom of the step. The television definitely shouldn't be blaring out an old black and white John Wayne movie. The clang of something hitting something metal in the kitchen made her heart pause, stop, then race. Obviously, someone else was in the apartment.